it's coming, the football's coming. Home, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I think it's episode 27. We're around that mark either way. If I've got the number slightly wrong, please do not sue me for false advertising. We're back, another podcast. Why am I singing It's Coming Home? Because England had one of the greatest performances of my entire lifetime this week. That game was a it feels like a once in a generation kind of game, that. Because first of all, it was supposed to be at 1 a.m. in the morning. It happened at 2 a.m. in the morning. If you've been living under a rock, it's the World Cup right now. They had a round of 16 game against Mexico in Mexico City at the Azteca. They have only lost twice in their entire history in that stadium. I think they've not lost a game there for like 25 games or 25 years. Something ridiculous like that. It had been a long old while, right? And England are playing them at 1 a.m. So what I did, this was Sunday night going into Monday morning. What I did was, okay, I thought 5 p.m, I'll have a nap. I had a nap and it lasted about 75 minutes. I thought, oh, that's good sleep in the bank, that's good. And then about 11 o'clock, I thought, right, I'm going to go to bed again. I'm going to wake up 5 to 1, ready for the game. I woke up 5 to 1. I've got a WhatsApp message. I've put the TV on. I'm reading my WhatsApp messages while the TV's loading up. I get a WhatsApp message from me mate in our group saying like, I can't believe it's been delayed an hour. I'm thinking, what? So I'll Google it. Game has been delayed till 2 a.m. TV straight off. Alarm set for 2 a.m. Boom. I wake up in time for it. I miss the national anthems. I love watching the national anthems. Not because I'm some huge national anthem lover that I think we should be singing it all the time, but it really brings the atmosphere. No matter what anyone wants to say about the national anthem brings the atmosphere. I love watching it, love the crowd singing it, some of the players singing it, but either way, it's booming over the stereo system. We can hear the fans getting into it, and both national anthems as well. The English one and the Mexican one. So there we go. I missed it. I was a bit gutted, but I thought it doesn't matter. I'm up in time for the game. Let's get cracking here. Let's watch it. So, boom. Watching the game now. England versus Mexico. First 20 or so minutes, nothing much of anything is going on. Nothing much of anything. And commentary, Alan Shearer says something along the lines of, this is what England needs to do. Keep it quiet for the first 20 minutes. Mexico are going to press them really hard. They're going to need to keep it quiet. And I thought, ooh, this is some tactical analysis that I would have never come up with myself. So I like that. I like it. Every now and then when you hear the commentators say something and you go, ooh, actually, yeah, that's something that I wouldn't have anticipated. So obviously what he's trying to say is that because it's the start of the game, Mexico want to pressure them early. But if they can last the first 20 minutes or so, Mexico will lose that initial spark and then England can grow into the game a little bit as Mexico starts to calm down a little bit energy-wise and a little bit excitement-wise, and the steam gets let out of the fans a little bit. They're not real roaring score because it's hard to chant for 70 minutes. It's hard to really get behind the fans in 90 minutes. And that's what Alan Shearer said. Boom. England end up scoring about 28 minutes in. Bellingham, header from a Saka cross. Saka not been performing in this World Cup, coming off the back of an injury, playing here and there. He starts the game, gets the cross, Bellingham header. Before you know it, like 90 seconds later, 30th minute roughly, around that mark, I can't remember where it was, Bellingham scores again. It's 2 up. England are in dreamland at the time when we were supposed to be in dreamland sleeping. It's about 2:40 in the morning, and England are 2-0 up in the Azteca. And I am buzzing. Me and my mates, messages flying all over the place in the WhatsApp group. Roll it back a few days. I've been talking to a few women who I work with, and they were saying that they were going to let the kids stay up. And I said, yeah, you've got to. Like, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not a parent. Don't take your parenting advice off me. But I was saying, you've got to. Because I remember what I was like as a kid. And if this would have happened when I was a kid, this once-in-a-generation kind of thing, they are going to look back at this game for the rest of this. They're going to be in offices in 40 years' time saying to their co-workers, like, do you remember when we were like 8? And we stayed up to watch the England game against Mexico in the World Cup. That was amazing. The game finished like 4:30 in the morning. That was brilliant. legitimately just incredible performance. Harry Kane scored from the penalty spot, ended up 3-2. I was on such a high after that game. The enjoyment of watching England at the World Cup, playing against a Mexico team. And Mexico aren't an incredible team, but the fact they were playing at home, it's their host World Cup, it's a knockout game. The fact they got through it, there were 11 minutes added on. The problem that England are going through in the right-back position at the moment, if you're not following it, the most famous right-back that England have got, the right-sided defender, is a guy called Trent Alexander-Arnold. He used to play for Liverpool. He's a Scouser. He plays for Real Madrid. He didn't get called up. Instead, they called up Tino Livramento and Reece James. Reece James probably going to start, or was Tino going to start? Either way, Tino gets injured before the World Cup. He's out. He's out of the World Cup. So then Thomas Tuchel, who's the manager, instead of calling up another right-back, another right-sided defender, he goes, I'll pitch Javel Kwanzaa, who's more of a centre-back. He can play on the right, but he's like a right-sided centre-back in a free, really. That's where you want to put a Kwanzaa. So everyone's like, what? We've only got one right back now, but then there's Jed Spence who plays at left back. He's the backup left back. Maybe you can play right back, and that's who we're starting to. So Reece James starts. Reece James gets injured, so now he's filling in there. It's been an absolute mess. Oh, Declan Rice filled in there at one game. He's a central midfielder. Just you can't write it. People was low on confidence. People thought Mexico are going to knock England out, and England got through the task. And it really got me thinking, like, as an England fan, what has been the best performances of our lifetime as an England fan? And the most recent one that I can remember of, like, one that made me go, oh, England are good. England are really good. Is when England, in the Euro 2020 that took place in 2021 because of COVID, when England played Germany and they beat them, I think it was 2-0. In that game, that was one of the... I remember... Me and my former housemate Ryan from uni, we bought tickets to the final after that game because we were like, England are going to get to the final and they might win it. Let's spend all this money on it now, which is a lot of money, once in a lifetime. If it happened again, I probably would have done it again. And we went to it and we thought, how often is the final going to be at Wembley? England ended up getting there, lost in the end. But when they beat Germany in that second round of Euro 2020, that was one of the best performances I remember. Now, one that I don't really remember as much, but one of the other great ones of my lifetime, is in the group stages of Euro 96, when England beat the Netherlands 4-1. Now, we're looking at these games and we're talking about second round of a Euros, group stage of a Euros. Obviously, the group stage one, that was in England, that was Euro 96. That was when football fever was really taking over the nation. That was when I really became a fan of football, right? And England beating the Netherlands 4-1 in that game. Netherlands at the time, who was seen as a genuine prospect to win it, a top team in the world football, with players like Bergkamp, who else was playing in those days. Davids, Seedorf were probably coming into the team around that time. Quality players. And England beat them. Hullet was probably on the team at the time. Or did he not make the Euro 96 team? Either way, just quality performance. And then one came to me. And I think it is this one. I think this next one that I'm going to tell you now is the greatest England performance of our lifetime. In Germany, World Cup qualifier, 5-1 against Germany. That game was just unbelievable. I remember earlier that day, I predicted that England would win 6-1. But I was a kid, I was messing around. I thought England were good, but I was just messing around when I said 6-1. It ended up being 5-1. They battered them. Owen hat-trick. Gerrard won, Heskey won. Like, that year, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but that year Liverpool were on fire. In 2001, they won the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. They won the UEFA Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and it was called the Carling Cup at the time. And they won the Charity Shield. 5 trophies in one season, but it's not looked upon as like one of the all-time great seasons because they didn't win the Premier League and they didn't win the Champions League. But you might as well add this 5-1 into that because all 5 goal scorers were playing for Liverpool at the time. All 5 goals came from the goal scorers. 3 from Owen, 1 from Heskey, 1 from Gerrard. That was a win made in Liverpool. That was the one time that the English players banded together, didn't matter what club they were from, and they just put on incredible performance. And it's probably the greatest England performance of all time. Now, of our lifetime. Will that still be the case in 2 weeks' time? England in the quarterfinals are going to play Norway after Norway shocked Brazil and knocked them out. Now, the problem here is Norway have got Erling Haaland. Now, this is another fascinating thing to talk about. Erling Haaland was born in Leeds. Technically could play for England, and there's a few of these stars who are still in the World Cup who could have been playing for England. Haaland, first and foremost, who we just said, born in Leeds, plays for Norway. His parents are Norwegian. His dad was playing for Leeds at the time, and that's why he was born. He lived a couple of years there, then moved to Norway, grew up in Norway. The rest is history. He's Norwegian. He wants to represent the Norway squad. We don't hold it against him. We'd love to have you, but we can't now. It's too late. The other one, Michael Olise. French mum, I believe. So he plays for France, but he's born in England. Speaks with a London accent. I believe he doesn't even speak French, but that's what he wanted to do. That's where his ties were. That's where he felt he wanted to play his international football. That's who Michael Olise plays for. Now, wouldn't it be very satisfying if England can defeat Norway and Erling Haaland this weekend, and Erling Haaland plays for Norway and he could have played for England, we knock him out of the competition. And then England, we move on. We move on to the semi-final where we're going to play either Argentina or Switzerland. Now, Argentina are a great team. They're a very good team. Lionel Messi is the greatest footballer of all time, but he's getting older. Is the Argentina team better than the England team? I would say no. I would say if you played this game 10 times, I would probably give it 6 to England, 4 to Argentina for England to get through and beat them. Maybe 7 to 3. I do believe England can get past them. They've got to get past Norway first, but imagine if they then can beat the greatest player of all time in the semi-final. They can knock out Argentina. They get to the final. Who would be waiting for them in the final? It's only potentially France. It's only potentially Michael Olise, who was born in England, who could have been playing for England, chose to play for France instead. Excuse me. England could knock out Erling Haaland in the quarters, who could have been an England player. They could knock out Michael Olise. And the script is there. It's all written. The story is there to be told. It just needs to come to fruition. Do I think, hand on heart, that England are going to win the World Cup? I'll be honest with you, no. I don't think England are going to win this World Cup. However, I do think that if you played through this remaining set of fixtures and you played through it about 10 times, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 where England would win. That puts it at a 10-20% chance. I will take England's 10-20% chance from here. And the excitement as we get closer, if they can get closer, if England can get to the final, it's going to be it's going to be a beautiful thing. We live in a time, ladies and gentlemen, where there's a lot of division in the UK. That we live in a time where people are actively trying to push a racial divide, a religious divide in this country. The one thing that has the power to override all of that is football. If England can win the World Cup with Jed Spence at right back, the Muslim player playing a few games, he had a good game when he came on against Mexico. He played very well. If England can get a win with a Muslim in the team, with black players in the team, with Irish descendants in the team, I feel like we will ride that level of goodwill. I don't know how long for, but we will ride it for a certain amount of time, and for a certain amount of time, life will be good. We go back to this generational thing. Can you imagine being an 11-year-old boy, specifically, in 2 weeks' time, you're off school for the 6-week holidays, you've left primary school, you're having this joyous time, and England win the World Cup. Oh, that, for me, I think of how much I would have loved that when I was a kid. I remember that summer, leaving school, hanging out with my mates, and then just enjoying it. Michael, Carl, Alan, Gary, David, my boys. I remember spending it with them. And I think how great it will be for the entire nation. But you look at all these little pockets of all different people who can get joy out of it. I don't care where you fall on any spectrum or where you lie. I want this country to be great. And I want you, yes you, to be having a great time. If you're not English, I'm sorry, but you join the party, be an England fan anyway. These are the things that excite me. These are the reasons why I love the English football team. It can be a source of good and a source of joy for the nation. And I'm hoping it can be that. I'm really hoping it can be that. Now, what isn't a source of joy? Let's talk about this. So, England, after the game, I fell asleep about 5 a.m. I had a gig that night in Bolton at the Pokemon card shop 151 in Bolton. We're now running comedy gigs there. And I run comedy gigs with Matthew Downey. We run the Comedy Loft House together. We've always ran it together, but things are kind of coming to a fork in the road now, sadly. And this gig ended up being the climax of that fork in the road. And all good things must come to an end. Now, the Comedy Loft House is not coming to an end. I'm going to carry on with the Comedy Loft House. However, let's talk you through the procession of events. As we were coming into the gig, I've been told many times by Matthew that he much prefers hosting the gig than being on the gig. Now, I would usually do most of the hosting because I just have more experience, so you want to put it in the hands of the more experienced person. Plus, worst case scenario, if I need to drop in and a headliner can't make it, I can fill that spot and it's not a problem. Came to about dinner time on Monday and my head, I just had a headache right here on this side of my head, right here. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to take my ego out of things. And even though I want to do it, with a headache, the best decision to make is go, do you know what? If I've got a headache now at 1 o'clock, by the time the show starts at 7:30, it could be way worse. So I messaged Matt and I put the show into his hands and gave him the hosting. Okay, that's what we're doing. And long story short, the show went well. You know, we put about 20 odd people in there. The capacity would have been about 30. We put 20 odd in there. The Mighty Swab came down to watch. Matt hosted it. We had Jack Kelly opening, and I was bit worried about the crowd because I thought, they're a little bit quiet at the start because I introduced Matt onto the stage. That's kind of what we do. Is the other one introduces the other one, so the other one can go up on stage by being introduced to somebody. So I felt from the crowd they were being very quiet, and I thought, this isn't very good because you want them to be up for it, so the acts can have a good do. Jack went on there, and by the end of his set, they're well into it. We had in the middle, I asked Jack as well, guys. I said, listen, if you've got time afterwards, we'll go upstairs, we'll record a podcast together, because I'm maybe on holiday next week while I'm supposed to be recording the podcast. So I thought, you know what, I can bank one with Jack, we can record one. You'll get a guest for the first time, guys, but he was busy, we couldn't do it. He said, though, love to do it another time, so you might see Jack as a guest still. Anyway, then in the middle, we had Phil Milton. Phil Milton ended up doing about 15 to 20 minutes, something like, I think he did about I'd guess it about 17 minutes Phil did in the middle. And again, crowd really going with it. And then closing the show, we had Danny McLaughlin. Now, we were lucky to have Danny McLaughlin closing the show. And this is why I run nights on a Monday night, is because we can get someone of his caliber to come and do it on a Monday when you're not going to get him on a weekend, because he commands a higher fee on the weekend because he's in very high demand on a weekend. Whereas on a Monday, there's not much going on. It gives him the opportunity to come out, try new material. And at the moment, he's got a children's book that he's written, so it gives him a chance to sell. He sold a few of those as well at the gig. So these are the things that can happen. Anyway, and I was explaining this to the people who work in the Pokemon card shop, they were asking me afterwards, like, the next day, they're just a staff member, so they didn't come because, you know, if you're not working, why would you be there? You know, you want to be at home, you don't want to be at work when you're not working. So they asked me, going, like, are these acts, are they big? What? And I said, Danny does gigs to thousands of people multiple times a year. He'll do like very, I was going to say very big gigs on a regular basis. Whereas we're getting him in a shop that sells Pokemon cards where the maximum capacity is 30. It's a Monday night. We're so lucky to have him. I've already booked the majority of the next show. Oh, why am I doing things by myself? The workload that Matt had to do on the night, it is a lot of work to do. It's a lot of work to do, and I'll be honest, I often don't recognise it because for me, stand-up is very hard work. Stand-up is such a hard job. For people who don't do it on a regular basis, it's a very hard thing. Not just the performing part is the easiest part. The hardest part is like all the hard yards that you have to do. Like, I've told you before, when I went down to Newcastle, I did a trial gig there. I spent probably 100 odd quid on the train ticket for a trial. I've not heard anything back about the trial. I'm spending 4 hours on a train there, 4 hours on a train back. That's 8 hours. I'm only there for my 10 minutes of stay time. I'm leaving. I'm under 20 quid down plus 8 hours down. And I get that's the financial deal. These gigs, when we've run this gig with the Pokemon card shop, because it is in Bolton, because we're doing them a favour, it's someone that we know, this is a gig that's been run at a reduced rate. So ultimately, there's not a lot of money to go around for it. And Matt has got a very busy life. He's got a very busy life. And I think for him, for someone who isn't pursuing stand-up as a career, I don't know how much sense it makes. And that's basically what he communicated to me. I don't know, that this doesn't really make a lot of sense for me. For me, it's a lot of work for very little money. And that's what stand-up is, unfortunately. Like, I'd love that to have been £5,000 budget for us and be able to share that out and go, yeah, we've put a lot of work into it. And but these are the things that kind of go missing. A lot of people don't realise. Even people who are like semi in the comedy world don't realise all the work that goes into running a comedy night. So, like, for example, that comedy night finished at, let's say, about 9:30. I was still at the venue until about maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock. I'm helping put chairs back upstairs. I'm helping move tables. I'm helping get the rubbish away, stuff like that. I've took the sign off the door that says it's a private event. I'm speaking to the owner of the business. I'm asking him, how did you think it went? I'm getting his kind of feedback from him, whilst also giving him my version of what happened as someone who goes to and performs on a lot of comedy nights. So he might have thought, oh, and then if that wasn't how I saw it, I can put across my thing. So we're having essentially a 1 hour business meeting after the show. That was Monday night. As the time of recording, this is Wednesday. We've already discussed the next day. We've discussed a few potential dates. Then we've settled on one. We've then discussed the acts that he would like to see on that with different numbers of people. We're already only 3 days away from the last show. I'm probably already about 3 hours worth of conversation deep into him about the next show. Now, if you're to look at the minimum wage, and minimum wage now is about £12 an hour, that's already, bear in mind, the next show's not going to be for another 2 months. Only 3 days. I'm £36 into this that I should be getting paid just on minimum wage. The amount of hours I'm going to have to put in the lead up to it, at that gig and then afterwards, I'm going to be at a deficit in terms of minimum wage. That's just how it's going to be. The money isn't good for the amount of work you have to put in to make this stuff work. Now, people would question then, why do you do it? Why do you do stand-up comedy if the money's not great? It's because eventually I want the money to be great. Eventually I want to be in a position where I can quit my day job. I'm very open about this. I have a day job, and I have to have a day job because if I just relied on stand-up comedy, I wouldn't be eating tonight. I wouldn't be able to freely do things when I want to do them. For example, AEW is coming to Wembley next month, and me and my mates, on a whim last night, we bought tickets for it. It's £50 a ticket, which I'm in a position where I can luckily go on a whim. I'll pay £50 a ticket, which I wouldn't be able to if I was relying solely on stand-up. It wouldn't give me that any kind of lifestyle, to be completely honest with you. But I see it as a potential path to a potential full-time role. And I'm willing to put the years and years and years of dedication and hard work into it. And that is why I will carry on with this. And I'm not going to close the Comedy Loft House and keep this thing going that I've been working at for 7 years. I've been working at it as a duo before. And now I'm going to have to work on it solo. If he wants to back out, that is completely fine. That is completely fine. I don't need to be pressuring people. And there's enough work on the table without having to pressure someone to be involved in stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, you know, the knowing that he doesn't want to do things anymore, and that for him it's a bit of a chore doing it. It wasn't a pleasant conversation to have, but at the same time, I don't hold it against him. It's you know, like I say, he has a very busy life, so all the power to him, all the best in his future endeavours. And the thing is, he's a guy who is motivated, and he could be doing as well bigger, better things, and he will be doing that in his life. He's going to move on to bigger and better things, but to be candid, it's not going to be in stand-up, because it's not the thing he's pursuing, and he doesn't have to pursue it. He doesn't have to. You know, I'm pursuing it. He isn't. We're coming at it from two completely different angles. When he turns up, he wants to have it'd be fun to have a laugh. I turn up, it's work. It's something that we need to get done. We need to run to time as well. My reputation's on the line, because if people start finding out Adam runs rubbish gigs, no one's going to do any of the gigs for me. If these people who I'm booking for gigs, I'm telling them the wrong times and I'm telling them to come here and then they wait in 25 minutes and I'm not sure managing it properly, they're going to be like, oh, that guy don't have a clue what he's doing. So these are the things that I have to do, and that's the way that I've got to treat it. And I will be carrying on as such, and I'm looking forward to running more and more gigs. Someone has been in touch with a venue from Lee, so I'm open now to maybe doing that. Maybe I'm going to start to dive more into putting more and more gigs in, because I guess now, although we've had that conversation and he's no longer involved, I guess now it gives me just carte blanche to be like, right, okay, let's roll the dice now. Let's roll the dice and let's go, right. Running this solo, everything now can just be wholly my vision, and I don't have to, I don't have to appease anybody else. So that's something that's going to be interesting coming out of it. So, but the gig was fun. I'll be honest as well, I was sat in the back of it thinking, I should have been hosting. I could have hosted this, because I'm there all night. I should have been doing it. Members of the audience coming up to me being like, why are you not doing a bit? Why are you not doing a bit? And I'll say, listen, I'm going to host the next one. Da, 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 da. And it's a very tricky, this is the thing as well, it's a very tricky balance, because on the surface of it, from my point of view, I'm allowing somebody else to do the hosting because I know that they like to do that more than they like to do a set. And on top of that, I'm taking my ego out of it and going, I'll take my ego so much out of this, I'll just sit at the back and watch, which I never do. I never go to comedy shows because it's a busman's holiday for me. I'm at comedy nights so many times, as you guys know. What did I do this week? Where have you been, Adam? You're talking about doing comedy all the time. You're not. Okay, guys, let me tell you. On Friday, I was at a casino in Bradford. Now, I went down there with the Mighty Swab. Mighty Swab gave me a lift, and I enjoyed his company, and we went for a pizza afterwards, bought him a pizza for the lift and all that kind of good stuff. But I didn't realise it was a casino. I took the gig and I completely forgot about it. I just knew it was in Bradford. And then the guy whose gig it was for Howard Walker. I was going to say Howard Anstock, not Howard Anstock, for Howard Walker. And he wasn't there. I'm assuming he was booked on something else. And Anthony Williams was hosting. And I'm getting there, and I looked on the lineup before, and Anthony Williams was hosting. It looks like from the message that Howard had sent me that he wasn't going to be there. So I'm thinking, okay, what kind of gig? So I asked Anthony, what is this gig? Because I get there. Bear in mind, I got there late. The gig hadn't started, and I was like, oh, this is what is going on here. I'm looking around. It's mostly older people in the audience. So I'm thinking, okay. And they're having a free course meal. And when I'm looking around, going, right, I'm here late, and the gig's not started yet. I'm early for my stage time, but like the gig should have started by now. So I mean, that's a red flag. The fact that the crowd is mostly older, obviously my demographic is me, like young males, young females, whatever. Young people like anything like me, that's my demographic. So older people, obviously it gets further and further away from my demographic, right? Something, okay, that's a bit challenging. And the fact that they're eating a 3-course meal before comedy makes me think, oh, this is probably some kind of package deal here. And when comedy is a package deal, it can be quite questionable how well the night is going to run. Not because the organisers don't know what they're doing, but because the audience might not know what they're doing. And I'll tell you why. So, for example, you and your mates, you're all going to this. Bear in mind, it's at a casino, so you get £5 worth for chips, you get a comedy night, and you get a 3-course meal. I don't know if you get a bottle of booze or whatever. I don't know anything else, but those 3 things they definitely got, because that was communicated to me by different people while I was there. Right. So you might have members of your group who will go because they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going for the chips, and then just try and get out with my friends, then I'm going to do the thing and I'm going to go gamble or whatever. Or you might go, I'll come out for a meal and I'll just hang around afterwards, but I'm not going to bother. And then some might be there for the comedy. So when there's multiple things that you're paying for, there's more and more reasons for people to come. But when you have more and more reasons for people to come, that's not necessarily a good indicator of them being a good audience member. So I was a little bit wary. Now, Nick Doody opened up the show, and I think Nick Doody's brilliant. He's got on it. There's this joke he's got about being robbed by a non-binary person, and it's such a great joke, and it's such like it's an offensive joke, but because you're touching on the subject of non-binary, people get a bit like, oh, is he going to say something offensive? But it's not offensive whatsoever. It doesn't even go anywhere near offence. So he opened the show, and it was decent. And then I went up and I had such a fun time. I had way more of a fun time than I ever would have imagined. And there's a table down here to my left. And if the average age was 75, I've probably undercut it. Like the average age must have been probably, we're looking about 77, like probably older, maybe even 79, because there's definitely people on their 80s in that table, and the rest were like all in their 70s. So older crowd. And is my kind of humour going to go down with them? Now, I will always try and play a little bit to my audience, and you've just got to just slide the volume up and down. And when I say volume, I mean like the volume in what you're doing, not the actual volume of your voice, the volume in what you're doing, right? So just to match the energy in the room. And I had a great time with it. I really, really enjoyed myself. I made one mistake in my last joke though. I stepped off the stage where there was no lights, and as soon as I did it, I realised there's no lights on me, and I thought, they can't see my facial expressions here. And as soon as you lose your facial expressions, you're going to lose you're skimming the cream off the top of your joke, and you're going to get less of a reaction. And that's exactly what happened on my last joke, and I thought, Adam, do not do that again. But enjoyed it. On the way out, I bumped into a woman who was sat at the back, and she was with like a teenage son. He was like the youngest person in the room. And obviously he must be with it being a teenager, and it's 18 plus being in a casino, I guess. And it's a mother, and she's probably about 50, and he's like, about 20, let's just say. And I'm waiting for Swab because he's gone for a week, but I've waited outside the room. But people are coming outside because he's going for a smoke or whatever outside. And they stopped me, and the woman's like, oh, really enjoyed it, I was like, oh, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. It's like, no, we came to see you. I went, you are? Like, yeah. We only came to see you, and now you've been on, we're going upstairs and we're spending our chips. I thought, do you know what? I don't condone the gambling, but the fact that they paid for that full night of stuff, only came to see me in terms of the stand-up, and then as soon as I've been on, really enjoyed it, and then they're going to go back upstairs and just go enjoy that kind of stuff. It was really nice to hear that, and obviously you hear this every now and then, people will say, oh yeah, I've come to see you, which is great, but like, I just didn't expect it from a mother and a son to be like, yeah, we've come to see you. I thought that was just like, I thought it was brilliant, to be honest with you, and like it really warmed me cockles, it did, really warmed me cockles. Then, Saturday night, Nick Sutton did me a very, very, very solid favour. Nick Sutton took me to Daniel Innes's gig at Genting's Casino in Sheffield. Now, this one I did know was a casino going into it. And I knew that it was like a room that had been rented out upstairs, And I did a gig at this same venue, but like that time it was like booked by students, and they were on like an events management course. And as part of their coursework, they had to run an event, so they decided to run a stand-up comedy night, and they booked me for it. And I remember that was really weird when they did it, because they sent us a contract and they were like, right, we want you to sign this contract because we want to limit the language in which you use. And I read the contract and I went, I ain't signing that. I am not signing a contract that says I can't swear. Because I can go on and I can not swear. That is not a problem. It's just I'm not signing the contract and then you sue me because I accidentally swore. We're not doing that. Just tell me beforehand, don't swear, and I will do my absolute best for you. You don't need to have a contract. Now, I'm assuming they just needed to write the contract so they could have it as part of the coursework, that they took these things into consideration. So the fact that I didn't sign it, excuse me, I hope it didn't matter whatsoever to the course, and that just all went towards their paperwork and they got graded well for it. Anyway, that was last time. This time, it was this again. This was marketed as comedy with an R&B night afterwards, and I was a little bit concerned is the wrong word. Trepidatious is the correct word. I was a little bit trepidatious because I took the gig, don't get me wrong, I will take a gig and I will challenge it face on and I'll do my best for you. I'll do my absolute best for you. So I took the gig and I was worried that there's going to be loads of people who are only really coming for the R&B night and they're not really that bothered about the stand-up. And I was wondering what the balance of that would be, what it would be like. Now, I spoke to Dan about it beforehand. I didn't tell him about, oh, I think this, I think that, because I wanted to hear his opinion because he'd done the night before, because it's what he runs, right? And he goes, no, there's definitely people who are going to come for the comedy. And last time, there's people who came for the comedy and then left before the R&B night. So I thought, okay, that actually makes me feel like way better about it and makes me give way more confidence. And I trust him anyway. So with the trust I've already got for him and him telling me that, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this thing. I was going to do it anyway, but now I'm like, boom, I'm set. My trepidatiousness has gone. Or at least been muted. Turn the volume down and the trepidatiousness. I'm not trepidatious. I wasn't. So, I get there, and there were a lot of young girls who, there at the venue, who were clearly dressed for a dance and a good night out. And listen, I ain't got a problem with that whatsoever. I don't have a problem with that at all. But it did make me question in my mind, are they bothered at all about the stand-up here? Do they care one bit about the stand-up? And while the first act was on stage, there was a table of like 10 of them who got kicked out. They were noisy, they were talking, they didn't listen to the bouncer when he asked them to be quiet, and they were booted from the venue. That was it. So they were gone. And that was a massive out then, because they were the biggest issue in the room. Maxine Wade was the first act on stage, and she was doing well as well. But that was one bit of distraction in the back, so that's going to distract all the people who are around at the back. So, not ideal for Maxine that they were there. Then Jonathan Kiernan, I believe Kiernan's his surname. He was in the middle, and he did well as well. And I'm thinking, this is actually going really well. I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing girls in sequin dresses with no back, and I'm like, this is not a comedy outfit. But they're here, and they're getting involved in it, and then they're going to be here for the thingy later, and they're going to here to enjoy both, and I love that they're doing that. When I was on stage, I really enjoyed myself. I was really enjoying myself, but there was a moment towards the back end of the gig when there was a young girl, she looked early 20s, blonde girl, and there was a lady with her who maybe was in her 30s, and I don't know what they're doing, but they're in the middle of the room. So everyone is within 15, 20 yards of them. They're looking at the blonde girl's phone and they're talking. And so here's a bit of inside baseball for you. When I hear talking at a gig, my first thought is have a look. Do I need to get involved? If you can't quite tell, because the thing is, sometimes you will hear talking and you don't have to get involved at every single point, because 90% of the time they're going to shut up. They're just saying a small thing to each other and they're not actually having a back and forth conversation. You've just caught them talking And you can kind of have that little second of a thought process and then be like, nah, they're not actually having a full conversation. They just a little first thing. Should we have a vape in the break? Might be something like, yeah, you'll have a vape in the break. Is your charged? Mine's not charged. Yeah, mine's charged. And then they'll stop. Whatever. Boom. So I look over and I can't see how much they're talking. They're clearly both looking at the phone. Now I'm thinking if they're both looking at the phone but not talking, I don't care. They can do that and I'm not bothered because that's not really going to distract anyone else around them. It will a little bit visually, but like if there's no noise, I'm not bothered. Like if they keep looking at it all the way through, then maybe the light of the phone will distract people. But I thought, I'm not bothered. I started to glance around the other tables near them and they're all like this. Like I can see they're all annoyed by these two women, these two girls, like on the phone and talking. So now I'm like, right, I've got to say something. So I finished my joke and I'm like, are you all right there, girls? And then ignored me. And I'm like, why are they ignoring me? And I'm like, hello? Nothing. Blonde lady, brunette woman, hello? Nothing. Do you speak English? Hello. And now people are like tapping them and like pointing and they're looking at them going, what? And they go, the guy on the stage, and they look at me going, what? And go, are you all right there? Yeah, we're just looking at her phone. I'm like, that's great, but can you fucking shut up? Like, I can't believe I swore. I don't think I swear on these, but yeah, I swore now. Can you shut up? Like, you're distracting everyone else around you. You're going to make the night worse. And then people cheer because they have been distracted. And it's hard because in their mind, they're not doing anything wrong. And they're not there for the comedy. This young blonde girl, like I say, she's dressed for the R&B night. She's dressed to have a dance. I get it, but it's fine. Go sit in, this casino's massive. Go sit in the bar, watch the football, whatever. If you want to just sit on and talk on your phone, that's not a problem. Just don't do it in the middle of the comedy night because you're going to ruin it for everyone else. And that, so that was a moment where I didn't like having to do that because you feel like a school teacher, and there is a good way to do it and like a fun way to do it. But because so many times, like, hello, are you okay? And they were so obsessed with what was going on the phone, they didn't even realise that I'm talking to them. And like, by the time it had got round to it, like, there was no soft way to do it. Everyone in the room was now going, what are you girls doing? Like, yeah, frustrating that part. But overall, enjoyed the gig, had a fun time of it. So 2 casino gigs back to back, not something that happens usually. And like I said, the demographics, very different night to night as well. The first one, all older white people. I think there's one non-white person in the room. For the R&B night, very multicultural, lots of young women there for a dance, lots of multicultural males, females, maybe some they thems. My friend Katie from uni came. She came with her sister. She came with, was it a partner? I don't know if that's a partner or not. I assumed was her partner. One of her friends, like a group of them, came to see me. I know she lives in Sheffield, so it was nice for her to come and see me like twice in a month now. That's the second time she's seen me while the World Cup was on, so that was nice to see her again. And she brought them, and like she was like, oh yeah, I told them you're good, and they were saying that was really good and all. That's lovely stuff. That's great. I mean, well, look at that, 2 nights in a row people came to see me. I didn't really think about it that way, but yeah. And then obviously then Monday came around and it was 1-5-1 and I didn't even get to perform in the end, but you know, I guess I did bring him on stage, so I had an element of being a performer. I was the host of the MC maybe, but either way, with that comedy night, we're already planning the next one. So on the next one, already we've got Tony Burgess to close it. Tony Burgess, who was on Ideal, and I grew up watching that show, and he's one of my 2 favourite acts on the circuit, so love the fact that we got him. Opening the show, we've got Mike Carter. Nick Sutton, I'm putting him on in the middle. I'm giving him another opportunity. Come on here, lad. Impress this audience. And we're going to book one more act. And I've floated it out there to a few people. I've asked them to send me videos. And then what I'm going to do with the videos is I'm going to send it to James, who runs the Pokemon card shop, and go, here you go, mate. Who do you want to do it? And I'll let him pick, because it's his show, it's his venue, and I've helped him curate the rest of the lineup. So that middle act, we can give someone an opportunity who he thinks is good. Because I do think I don't think that people from outside of comedy should be booking comedy lineups for the most part. I don't. I think if you're a proper comedy fan and you know loads about it, which to be fair James is, then there's an argument for it. But I think especially with people being in the middle, what you tend to do is you tend to just go, oh, I know this person, I trust them, I'm going to give it to them. And it's great, but it's kind of gigs for the boys a little bit. And it's kind of, oh, you're my friend, so you can have it. So I think letting James pick is a good opportunity for someone who's not in stand-up to just go, no, I think this person's good and I think this person's got potential. I want to see them on my lineup. And someone like Lorraine from Playing Comedy, she's not involved in Playing Comedy anymore. Her and Colin Manford formed it together. Now it's just Colin who does it. They booked me together like that. And that's how I got my opportunity gigging for Colin Manford back in 2021. And it's because she's not in stand-up, so she looked at it from a complete fresh perspective, saw my video and went, that guy, I want to have that guy on the lineup. And between her and Colin, they were like, boom, we'll pick him. And then since then, Colin's been booking me for years now, so it goes to show that sometimes an outsider perspective can be really valuable. So give this opportunity to James to book Dermy, book Phil for the last one, so now we can book the middle for this one. And we can kind of move like that going forward and like do that. So I like that. I like being collaborative. And again, this is another thing is I guess now I'm not running it with Matt is I don't need to. I can literally just go boom. This is what we're doing. I don't need to worry about anyone having to have any kind of different opinion. I just be like boom. This is what we do. Boom. Go ahead, and we'll get things going. So yeah, exciting times. My birthday's coming up, guys. It's my birthday, July the 13th is my birthday. I'm going to be 38 years of age. Whew, I'm getting old, boys and girls. I'm getting old. I feel like I've been saying this for a while. I'm ready to settle down, get married, have kids. That's the stuff, like get an house, all that kind of stuff. These things are on the horizon for me. These things are, in my mind, there and thereabouts. I just, you just need to do them. That's where I am at the moment. This is kind of the things that are on my mind a lot. Is I'm ready to be an adult now, guys. I'm almost 40. I'm ready to be an adult. Yeah. Probably will require a wife. I think it requires a wife getting married. Yeah. I guess we'll see how that goes. But like I say, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's saying me a little bit more now. I'm going to be 38 and it's my birthday. And will I go on holiday next week? I'm hoping so. I'm hoping I'm going to be on holiday this time next week. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited indeed. What will happen with the podcast next week if I am on holiday? I don't know. Maybe I'll get one in the can. Maybe I'll interview somebody. Maybe. Just maybe I'll do something a little bit like that for you. I think an interview would be nice. So you can, either way, I think I might do an interview, get someone interviewed. And that might be good. Might be good content. And yeah, I think that's a podcast, guys. England march on in the World Cup. Maybe next time you see me, well, we're going to have an outcome one way or another. But I think hopefully next time I sit down for a podcast like this, we'll be talking about England being world champions. It would ruin one of my jokes, but I'd happily get that joke ruined if it means that the country can have that just like a heat wave, just a joyous time with football coming home. Anyway, that's about me. Comment, share with a friend and all that good stuff, and I'll see you all soon with more. Bye-bye.